So my name is Parker Agelasto, and I'm the Executive Director for the Capital Region Land Conservancy, and we welcome you to the 2021 Conservation Games. It is a great day. We've just started fall, and I can't imagine a more beautiful day than it is today outside. And I hope you all have enjoyed being out at some point today. We will have many opportunities during the next 3 weeks, 17 days to be precise, where you will enjoy the outdoors and you will be participating in different programming as part of the conservation games. The Capital Region Land Conservancy is honored to host these games. We were founded 16 years ago to be a local land trust serving the greater Richmond region. And since that time, we have been rather remarkable in our efforts. But just to remind everybody, our mission statement is to conserve and protect the natural and historic land and water resources of Virginia's capital region for the benefit of current and future generations. And that's a very important thing that we like to highlight, because most of the time we think that this is for our own purposes. But conservation work is perpetual in nature, and therefore we are doing it for our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren generations that will be here 100 years from now, enjoying the work and the legacy that we leave behind them through the stewardship of our land and water. Peter, I could have next slide. So over the past 16 years, we have helped to protect over 12,000 acres in our region. Now, as a local land trust that is accredited, we have done much of that work with partners. We've also done more as a standalone easement holder in recent years, including the acquisition of land. And I'd like to just highlight a few of our accomplishments to date. And those include holding by ourselves 8 conservation easements that protect almost 500 acres in Richmond, Powhatan, Hanover, Henrico, and Chesterfield. We also have the privilege of partnering with many other land trusts to co-hold easements on over 2,200 acres. And in 2018, Capital Region Land Conservancy took a major step in helping to protect and by purchasing the 871-acre Malvern Hill Farm. And we will share some exciting news at the end of the closing ceremonies, October 10th, when we celebrate at Malvern Hill, but I give you a glimpse here since you're participating today. CRLC has also acquired 10 acres of the Appomattox River Islands in Chesterfield County. We've acquired 39 acres at Longbridge Road in Henrico County and 13 acres on Warwick Road in the city of Richmond, all that is contributing to public access lands. We're very grateful for that. And then in total, I've already mentioned that we've protected over 12,000 acres, and we were accredited in 2019. We have a vision for our region, and it's a complete vision that we have worked tirelessly to work in tandem with the local planning staff. A conservation easement in Virginia must comply by state statute with the local comprehensive plan. And in order to do our work, we want to make sure that we have smart growth, that we do our conservation work in the areas that meet the comprehensive plan for each of the localities, even though the comprehensive plan may allow for conservation work in other areas. For example, we do a lot of conservation easements in the city of Richmond, and the conservation easements are part of the comprehensive plan that calls for protecting land in every district that entails protection of water, protection of forest, protection of public lands. Next slide, please. We are fortunate to be served by a dedicated board. We have 17 board members, and many of them bring their expertise to their service. We have both landowners who hold easements. We have former secretaries of natural resources. We have industry representatives. We have legal representatives. We also have people who have a tremendous knowledge in natural land and resource management. We have an advisory board that in many cases, those members can't serve on our board because of potential conflicts of interest, but we are so fortunate that they can offer us the technical guidance that we need. And then finally, and I'm really honored to introduce our full team for the CRLC staff. Since last year, we have brought on Peter Braun, who is our Community Engagement Manager, as well as Ashley Moulton, who is our Land Conservation Specialist. They have joined the team that includes myself, Parker Agelasto, as the Executive Director, and Jane Myers, who at this point, I gotta say, has been with CRLC for 12 years and has been one of the most steady hands leading our conservation efforts. So thank you, Jane, Peter, and Ashley, for all the work that you do every day to continue the effort in preserving our land and water resources. Next slide, please. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. If you participated last year, you'll remember there's a quiz. And we ask you to participate in the quiz, write down your answer. We will give you the correct response, but you could be earning points for your teams. And just write it down if you've scored correctly, and then you can email it back to your team liaison to earn points for your team. And we will go through that instruction later on. So, quiz question number 1. What team won the inaugural 2020 Conservation Games last year? Was it Team Fields, Team Forests, or Team Streams? And I will do the ubiquitous Jeopardy. Do, 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 do. All right, and the answer is Team Streams. Congratulations to Team Stream members last year. The question is, can you have a repeat of your victory? So, question number 2. In what locality has CRLC not completed a land conservation project? Now, I will give you a hint. We serve 9 jurisdictions. They include the city of Richmond, the town of Ashland, the counties of Charles City, Chesterfield, Goochland, Hanover, Henrico, New Kent, and Powhatan. And we have done projects in nearly every locality that we serve, but there's one on this list that we have not completed a land conservation project to date. That doesn't mean that we're not working on one today. And if you have jotted down your answer, we will now give you the correct answer, and that is New Kent County. We're talking to some landowners, and we're very grateful to have support of some generous donors to make a concerted effort in New Kent County today. Peter, if we can continue, I think we are going to get into now a bit of an explanation of the games for those that have not participated, and a little bit of a walkthrough before we introduce you to our teams. I hand it off to Peter Braun. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Peter Braun, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager at CRLC. I'm glad you all were able to join us today. I'm really excited to get this thing started because I've been doing a lot of work on this since we started, and our whole team has. And I hope you really enjoy the Conservation Games this year. So what is the Conservation Games? It's a multi-week virtual experience to celebrate and support CRLC's efforts to conserve our region's natural and historic resources. We have 3 teams that compete in online learning events, volunteer events, and fundraising campaigns to earn the most number of points for their team. This year, the games kick off today, and they continue through October 10th for our closing ceremony. And you are invited to our closing ceremony on October 10th at 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Until then, we have 6 events hosted by our teams, and we have over 10 community events that you can attend for extra points. All of our events are free. Please invite your friends, and let's start to get to know our teams. So we're kicking off our procession of the Conservation Games competing teams with Team Forests. And we'll have Andrew Pike, one of our Team Forest co-captains, tell us a little bit about their team and their events.
Thanks so much, Peter. So like Peter said, my name is Andrew Pike. I'm a co-captain of Team Forest along with Heather Barrar. And we're going to tell you a little, or I'm going to tell you a little bit about Team Forest and what we hope to accomplish throughout the games. So Team Forest is competing to support the protection of our region's forests and woodland habitats, the places that nurture us and provide for us and provide for wildlife. And we hope that you'll join Team Forest as we go for the gold in the 2021 Conservation Games. Both Heather and myself are committed conservationists, and Heather is living that out daily in her work for the nonprofit organization Friends of the Lower Appomattox River. I myself have a background in land conservation, and both Heather and I are eager to see natural places in and around Richmond protected. I love forests for the sense of awe a giant tree commands, for the peace felt deep within the woods, for the shade trees provide on a hot hike, and for the myriad benefits they provide for me and you. Forests in our region sequester carbon, mitigate heat, provide timber and recreation, sustain wildlife, clean our air, and clean our water. But they're not immune to outside threats. Forests continue to be under threat from various pressures, whether that's fragmentation from development, the presence of invasive species, or changes from a warming climate. Efforts to conserve forests focus not only on protecting forests where we can, but by planting trees, taming invasives, better telling the story of the benefits forests provide, and ensuring sustainable practices for timber operations. The Capital Region Land Conservancy holds the conservation easement for the James River Park system in Richmond, protecting a regional treasure where you can find traces of legacy old growth forest. And CRLC is continuing its conservation successes by protecting new places. By joining and supporting Team Forest, you support the Capital Region Land Conservancy's efforts to protect forests in and around Richmond. Here's how you can get involved. If you're not already a member of Team Forest, you can join us by registering online at capitalregionland.org/conservation-games/team-forest. I'll put that link in the chat. We have 2 events planned during the games. The first is our learning webinar, Forestry Fundamentals. We'll be joined by 2 distinguished guests. We'll be with Christine Cadigan from the American Forest Foundation, and then we'll have Terry Lasher, who's the Assistant State Forester at the Virginia Department of Forestry. Together, they're going to help us grow our knowledge of how forests enhance the ecosystem services that we all depend on. And our second event is our service event. This is our volunteer service event. It's our chance to get out and do good work. So we're going to be partnering with the Enrichment Tree Lab on Saturday, October 9th at 10 a.m. to do a tree planting at the Science Museum of Virginia along their Proto Path, which is a converted railroad that's now a pedestrian corridor. You can sign up for both of these events online, and your participation in these events and other events throughout the games will help us earn points and put us on a path towards winning the conservation games. So we hope you will join myself, Andrew, and Heather as your co-captains in working to protect our region's forests as part of the conservation games. We have to thank our very generous Team Forest official sponsor, Davey. I'm grateful for their support and for all who've already joined Team Forest. We're off to a great start. Look forward to working with you all throughout the games. Go Team Forest.
Thanks, Andrew. And for our next quiz question, question number 3, which locality has the largest land area in the Richmond region? Is it Chesterfield, Hanover, Henrico, or Powhatan? Have you written it down? All right. Well, the answer is Hanover with 303,236 acres. And let's conserve as much of it as we can. Our next team to introduce is Team Fields. And to start off, we are going to hear from our co-captains for Team Fields, Tad Thompson and Kevin Engel. Tad, if you'd like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Okay, good afternoon. This is Tad. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? Okay, well, I'm a longtime conservationist and have been involved in land planning and easements going back to 1986. I live at manage Tuckahoe Plantation, and that was the year we granted our first conservation and historic preservation easement. I think fields are very important, and you're going to hear more from my co-captain Kevin, who is a true farmer. I was a row crop farmer for a while, mostly retired from that aspect, but am committed to the tourism aspects and that our wonderful farms and history contribute to the economy of Virginia and just our quality of life. And so I think that fields are very important. They're also often are part of a conservation easement. And I like to say that conservation easements is, of course, a big part of what we do at CRLC, and why I'm committed to CRLC going back to the days of the Goochland Land Alliance when I got started with this organization. And easements are a way that a landowner can do his own land planning and be sure that it doesn't get changed or messed up in the future by a future owner or a change in government at the local level or whatever level. So if you love your land, easements are the way to protect it. Fields surround our wonderful places, whether it's a battlefield or a field of crops or a pasture for livestock. Fields are critical. So join up with us, and we welcome your participation. I think we came in second last year, so we're hoping to move up this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kevin, did you want to say a few words?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we really look forward to our activities with Team Fields and Streams and Forests this year. I, along with my family, we farm land, we grow crops on the fields in all of the counties that CRLC works in, and many more. And through the years, we've seen the beauty of these fields. We've seen the production of them. They have come to produce food, fiber, and energy, and help with our daily quality of life in so many ways, whether it be in those ingredients or just general beauty all around us. We also have come to recognize the history of all these fields. A lot of these fields in these counties are some of the first land that was farmed in this country, the first land that grew crops, grew tobacco and many other crops in this country when this country was formed. As I talk to many of my other constituents across the country, none of them can really say they farm land that was actually in production in this country in 1607 like I can. And my family really looks forward to preserving this land for the future, the present, the future, and many years to come.
Thanks,
We
Kevin.
also want to recognize that crops produce oxygen, which is a pretty well needed thing for all of us to enjoy our life. And sequestering carbon is all talked about quite often, but very seldom is talked about the production of oxygen. And that's a very needed thing. And corn is one of the products that really help with that a lot. We have several events coming up on October 2nd. We're going to be coming together to help build some picnic tables for some much needed areas around in Richmond and surrounding areas that would be beneficial to the public. And picnic tables, I think, are pretty appropriate because fields help produce the food that goes on them and gives us all a lot of time together and enjoy all of that. On October the 5th, we're going to be also having a learning event discussing battlefields and biodiversity. Many of the fields that we farm in these counties were battlefields during the Civil War and some during the Revolutionary War. So there's a lot of history there to preserve. I want to thank all of the people that have joined Teams Fields so far. I really appreciate their participation. I think we're very blessed to have some participants here in Virginia, as well as in Maryland, Texas, and even California. So thank you for all those folks for joining us. And we look forward to doing more things in the future with us during our games. Go Team Fields. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. For our next quiz question, question is, what % of the United States land area is permanently protected? And this is an important question because we are on a goal, on a path to 30 by 30, and that is to conserve 30% of land in the United States by the year 2030. And it's a big goal to reach, but how far along are we? The answer is 13%.
And Peter, I'll add one ad lib here. These other numbers, 6% represents what our region's land protection percentage is for the entire region. And this is somewhat of a trick question. 19% is what is the water area that has been protected for U.S. waters. I think that's very interesting.
Our third and final team to be introduced for the 2021 Conservation Games is Team Streams. And we're going to hear from Sarah Richardson, who is the team co-captain, one of the team co-captains for Team Streams. And then we'll hear from Ashley, who is the team liaison for Team Streams. So if you could, Sarah. Sarah, I think you might be muted.
Okay, I finally found the little button. Hi, I'm Sarah Richardson. I'm one of the co-captains of Team Streams. The other co-captain is Wordy Farrell, who can't be with us this afternoon. Team Streams is, as you heard earlier, was the winner last year, and it's the only team whose name rhymes. I think that's important. So we're competing to support the protection of the region's waterways and riparian habitats, including wetlands, streams, rivers, the Chesapeake Bay, and all the wildlife that depend on those water resources. We hope you'll join us as we go for the gold again in 2021. My background in conservation is that I am retired from the State Department of Conservation and Recreation, where I was first the land conservation manager and then the real property manager, buying land for parks and natural areas. And I've been retired for 2 years and loving it. So let's hear from Ashley.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hi, and welcome to Team Streams. I'm Ashley Moulton, the Team Streams staff liaison. I care about streams and wetlands and water because from the land serving as river catchment areas for underground aquifers, streams and river habitat, to the health of the Chesapeake Bay, we know that everything comes back to water. Aquatic ecosystem serves serves as habitat for countless species of plants and animals, and they help store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through blue carbon sequestration. For humans, our waterways provide drinking water, irrigation, transportation, recreation, and an unrivaled sense of peace and connection to the natural world. That's why CRLC has a goal of protecting hundreds of miles of stream frontage in our region, and we're actually on that way to that goal, with CRC having protected 44 miles of stream and river front since 2005. For every new project that CRLC works to help further protect streams and water quality, whether there is a stream on the property or not. With over 12,000 acres that CRLC has protected, these areas help capture nutrient runoff, provides nesting habitat for aquatic birds as well as birds of prey. So anyone who has ever been to Richmond knows how important the James River is. As an easement holder and stewards of the James River Park system, as well as the islands in the James and Appomattox rivers, we play an important part in making sure these river areas continue to bring enjoyment, economic value from outdoor recreation, a place to learn about these ecosystems. I could go on and on about the importance of streams, but I'm sure you're already ready to take action for Team Streams. Well, you don't have to wait long. Tomorrow morning, in fact, September 25th, Team Streams will be hosting a Bryan Park watershed cleanup, Friends of Bryan Park. So join us tomorrow at Bryan Park from 9 a.m. to noon. We'll meet at shelter number 1. You can see it on the map there. Please make sure to wear clothes and shoes you don't mind getting a little dirty, and bring a mask and water. We also have another event for you guys. It's our educational opportunity. So if you want to learn more about how the Richmond region connects to our rivers and streams, join us for our Team Streams Learning webinar with our official sponsor for Team Streams, RES, as they discuss the Gamble's Mill Eco Corridor and Stream Restoration Project. This was a stream restoration project that was recently completed on University of Richmond's campus that has become a multi-use walking and bike path and boasts outdoor classrooms and a community garden. Well, Team Streams is for everyone, whether you love weekend visits to the river, care about healthy aquatic ecosystem, or just want to know where your drinking water will always be safe. Help Team Streams go for the gold and learn along the way. Go Team Streams.
Thanks, Ashley. Parker, do you want to take this question?
Sure. So question number 5. This is a very important question for everybody. What day is National Public Lands Day? Is it the first day of summer? Or is it July 4th? Or the 4th Saturday of September? And finally, the first day of October. Now, what I would tell you is that every day should be National Public Lands Day, or State Public Lands Day, or Local Public Lands Day, or any public lands day that you want to make it, because our lands should be accessible to everyone. But that's not the question. The question is, what day is National Public Lands Day? Everybody written down your answer? Okay, Peter, please reveal. It is tomorrow, the 4th Saturday of September. So one of our community events is to get out tomorrow on National Public Lands Day and let us know that you have gone to either a state park or a local park or somewhere that is publicly accessible. And I will just share with you another fun fact, and that is that the Capital Region Land Conservancy in the past 5 years has made nearly 1,600 acres of new publicly accessible lands to be secured in perpetuity for the public. That's a pretty big role that we have contributed, and we're very honored to it. So congratulations to those who understood that tomorrow is National Public Lands Day.
Thanks, Parker. I'm going to walk you all through how the games work. It's not too complicated, but we always have lots and lots of questions, and I want everyone to be able to earn as many points for their team as they can. So if you ever have questions, you can reach out to me or one of your team co-captains that you met today via email. You can also go to the Conservation Games homepage at capitalregionland.org/conservation-games. I've sent out a general information packet to all of our participants. If you haven't received that, just send me an email, peter@capitalregionland.org. And you'll also receive emails from your team co-captains or your team staff liaison through Google Groups. And you should have been added to the Google group from your team. So, how to play? How do you win this thing? So first, you got to get started. Join Team Streams or Team Fields or Team Forests and register for the events that you want to attend all at once. There is one form to do all of that. This is a little screenshot of what that form should look like. And just fill that out. If you don't remember what you are registered for or you would like to attend more events, you can always resubmit the registration form and it'll update your registration. Next, make sure you spread the word. Invite your family and friends, share the conservation games on social media, and start building your team. We already have about 60 people registered for the games, which is really exciting, but it's not too late to get more and more people onto your team. One way to spread the word and earn points at the same time is to do a social media share. So you can see on the left here is a screenshot of a tweet that one of our co-captains sent out a couple days ago. He said, "Join me on Team Forests." I'm not picking a favorite here. I just thought it was a good example. And Andrew would get 25 points for his team just by sending that tweet. If it's something you're not super comfortable with, I'd encourage you to lean into it. You never know who you're going to get to see that post and bring them into the conversation. You can also share a selfie like Jane did here. This is a selfie from the games last year. And if Jane was out at an event and she shared this selfie of her volunteering and she shared that on social media, she could get 25 points for that. The biggest thing about the conservation games is to take action. We want you to get involved in our volunteer events, grow your knowledge through learning events, celebrate with us, and build support by fundraising to earn points. These are all things that you can do to earn points. We have 3 volunteer events that you've heard of and 3 learning events. If you've attended today, you've already earned 75 points for your team just by attending this webinar. And then for every additional webinar that you attend, you can earn another 75 points. Our volunteer events are worth 100 points. We also want you to go the extra mile. We have a calendar of 10 community events. These are all on our homepage for the conservation games. If you ever need that link again, send me an email. And these community events are not facilitated by CRLC, but you can earn 50 points for attending each one, or by coordinating your own volunteer event or taking action on your own for something that would qualify. A couple examples of this would be if you attended the farm tour last week, because it was sponsored by CRLC, that counts for 75 points. National Public Lands Day is tomorrow. If you went to a public land tomorrow and you let us know that you attended that, you would get 75 points for that. And then any of these other events on the list. Yeah,
Is it 50 points or 75, Peter?
oh, I'm sorry. It is actually 50 points. My bad. But make sure you check out that calendar of community events. And then lastly, in order to get credit for these events that you didn't register for through us, you will need to submit your points to your staff liaison. So, for example, attending this webinar, you don't have to send us anything because it's facilitated by CRLC. So celebration events, learning events, and volunteer events, you'll already get credit for if you have registered for them online through CRLC. The same goes for donations. If you make the donation to your team through your team's donation form, we'll have record of that. You don't have to do anything extra. But if you do a selfie share, a social share, or a community event, or an independent event, send an email to your staff liaison. The staff liaison for Team Fields is Parker, and there's his email. Team Force is Jane, and her email's there. And Team Streams, send your email to Ashley. And you'd include your name, the event you attended, or the number of selfie shares, etc. that you did. Lastly, I wanted to invite you all to the closing ceremony at Malvern Hill Farm on October 10th. It's from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The original invitation said 5 p.m. and that is when our programming will start, but you are welcome to come early at 4 p.m. and explore the property and get to know some other conservation champions. It is a $25 suggested donation per person. And again, you can register for the closing ceremony through the regular sign-up form. And already the games are off to a heated start. Because our registration, just signing up, counts for 10 points. We have points adding up already, and we already have donations coming in. And so far we have, for Team Fields, we have, I believe, 36 people registered. Team Force has 36 people registered, and Team Streams has 33 people registered. But so far we have a clear lead right from the get-go. Team Force is leading thanks to a couple big donations. I also want to add that this is just day one. We have 17 more days of competition. You'd be shocked at how fast those points can add up just from attending events. A volunteer event is worth 100 points per person. That's a big deal. So if that's how you want to catch up, you can do that. The other thing I want to mention is that we have 3 challenge grants. So we have had 3 very generous donors offer $1,000 for their team. So every team has a challenge grant. And if the members of that team can match that grant, then that $1,000 is credited to their team. So just another reason to share the conservation games online and with your neighbors and friends, because it'll be a lot easier to raise that money. And I'll pass it off to Parker.
Thank you, Peter. And as you all can tell, the game's rules and all of the instructions are quite complicated. But the nice thing is that it is so easy to conserve our Earth. All you got to do is walk outside. When you finish today's opening ceremony, you can already start doing a self-directed conservation effort. Do a neighborhood cleanup for the next hour. Pick up some trash. Plant a tree. It takes no time to be a conservationist. And you can earn points by letting your staff liaison know. Obviously, Capital Region Land Conservancy is grateful to be able to offer you several prescripted opportunities to volunteer or to learn. And I think these this year have many different qualifications that will be of great interest to people. Who knew that battlefields were doing such great work to increase biodiversity and combat climate change? Who knew that just a few trees at your own home can sequester so much carbon that you could reduce your footprint at home? So these are the types of things that we hope you will learn as you conduct the conservation games over the next 3 weeks with us. And I would like at this time to recognize our sponsors, both sponsors of the games, but also our team sponsors. Thank you, Team Field sponsor and Ingle Family Farms. And thank you to Team Forest sponsor with Davey Mitigation, and to Team Streams sponsor Res. We're grateful for them taking on the additional sponsorship for these teams, but also Camp Holly Springs, nearly 100-year-old business in Verina that taps into an ancient aquifer. 97.3 WRIR, who's been helping to promote the games, Colonial Farm Credit, Canal Capital Management, Troutman Pepper, Historic Tuckahoe, Elwood Thompsons, which we know what that's going to mean on October 10th, First Bank and Trust Company, Huber Inc., James River Equipment, Monken Creek Outfitters, Southern States, and Creamfield Farm. I think you will see that many of these organizations share in our goals to preserve our land and water resources. So with that, I open it up, and if you have questions, either for the organizers or for your team captains, we will allow for that to occur here. And if you want to type it into the chat, we will monitor the chat room as well as unmute you if you raise your hand. Now, I will say one added thing for this year's conservation games, taking on feedback. Teams wanted to strategize with one another, build community through the 3 weeks of activities. So your Google group is a listserv, and you and only your team members have access to that listserv. And you may then communicate directly with your team members if you want to coordinate additional activities or other strategy. It's a great opportunity to meet people and to contribute to the games. So with that, are there any questions? And thank you, Peter, for putting the links into the chat room for registration. And I will just simply say, please invite anyone that you think who is interested in this. I know that tomorrow we have a group of 12 VCU students who have signed up to volunteer. I know that too that our University of Richmond professors have their students attending their lecture on October the 5th. We are doing what we can to engage our youth and the next generation of conservationists. So if there are no further questions, I would just like to thank everybody for participating in the opening ceremony. We have recorded this. We will share this so that if anybody needs the instructions, we will be able to share a link and let them have access to it. So with that, what is your cause for conservation? And may the best team win.
Go Team Forest.
Oh, Jane, I thought it was may the forest be with you.
Oh, I'm not, yeah, well, that too.
The best team may be Team Fields because they're way out front in their field.
Well, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. And we will see you out at the stream or at the field or in the forest.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Standing in the
Bye.
field. Bye.
Bye, Rick Myers.